It's rom-com time. Hello YouTube and welcome to episode 6 of Rom-Com Reviews, an 8-episode series where I watch some rom-coms and I tell you how I feel about them. On today's episode I am reviewing How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days featuring Kate Hudson and Matthew McConaughey. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days is about a magazine segment author, Andy Anderson, who is writing a piece on everything you shouldn't do when you first start dating a guy. What she doesn't know is that her chosen target, Benjamin Barry, is also trying to win a bet where he is trying to make a woman fall in love with him in 10 days. For the next week and a half, it is a constant cycle of Andy being absolutely insane and Ben trying his very hardest to deal with it so that he can win his bet. If Ben wins and she falls in love, he gets to take on a new advertising account which will greatly help his career. Andy's motivation is to write a strong enough article to where she can start writing about more meaningful topics. With both of them having super strong incentives, they try their hardest to stick to their role and deal with them each being unbearable and not doing what either of them had hoped. After about 8 days of torture for both of them, Ben brings Andy to meet his family, where she throws out the clingy girlfriend act and is actually herself around Ben and his family. They have a great time together and start to realize their true feelings for each other. After going back home, they both find out about each other's initial goals and separate in anger. But they come to their senses and we get to see another chase her down scene where he finds her and they live happily ever after. Out of all the rom-coms I've watched so far in this series, this one had the most build-up before watching it. I had so many friends tell me that this is their favorite movie, their favorite rom-com, and they were so excited for me to watch it, and I can see why. It was so good. The plot of this movie is so much better than some of the ones that I've watched so far in this series, and I think it's because it was just so complex. Like, there was a lot to it. We have Andy and like her goals behind everything, and also Ben's, but on top of their friends in on it, and all of Ben's co-workers trying to see if he can make it, even though they know that Andy's doing her whole thing behind it. There was just so much to it, and it was a lot to keep track of, but it kept my attention the whole time. I will say, I am like the biggest secondhand embarrassment person you will ever meet. Like, I get so embarrassed for other people. I've never been able to like understand it. It just happens like no matter what. Like, it just happens so often in my life with like real life and in movies. This movie killed me. I was so embarrassed for Andy this whole time. I was like, how on earth can she do this? Like, I could never. I know he's a stranger and like she just met him, but like what if he knows people? He did know people that she knew. Like, that would like, I'd be so nervous about my reputation, and I was like watching her do it and I was like, ugh, girl. Like, some of the stuff she did, embarrassing. Like, she put all those stuffed animals on his bed, she put like pink fluffy stuff all over his bathroom. Like, she was good at her job, I'll give her that much, but it stressed me out. Something else that I think this movie did a really good job at was the romance aspect of the movie, and I can't really say this about any of the other films that I've watched except for Notting Hill, I think, but they did such a good job at having the romance and the comedy in there. I feel like a lot of the movies that I've watched, they really like lean onto one side of that, but this movie did such a good job at incorporating both into it, because this is a very silly movie. Like, they're both not really into this relationship at first and they're just trying to do it for their own motivation, but towards the end you get to really see their connection with each other and that actual chemistry between them. That being said, I was a little confused about the timeline of this entire movie. I'm not kidding, it's 10 days. I know you've probably all seen it, this is a very popular movie. 10 days, and they fell for each other? When 8 of those days Andy is being a complete psychopath? Like, that part just kind of confused me a little bit, because I love that they end up together and I think they are a good fit during those times that she's actually being herself, but it was like 2 days that she was being herself and not being like crazy. So I don't know, that part just seemed a little unrealistic to me, because like, yeah, maybe he likes her like when she is acting normal like that, but you're not gonna go and like tell her you love her and chase her down after literally 2 dates. It was like that first initial one before she started acting crazy, and then when they went and met his family. That is 2 instances, like, and he's just ignoring all those other times that she was insane. Like, she was crazy, y'all. I think it would have been a little bit better if they had some kind of time jump in the movie. I don't really know the timing of when Andy leaves. She's like gone. She's on her way to another city and he's chasing her down. I don't think there was that much time between her quitting her job and like the last time that she saw Ben. So overall, that just didn't really make a lot of sense to me. So But it's fine, I still had a good time watching it. Overall, this was probably my second favorite movie that I've watched so far. Nothing is gonna top Notting Hill, I don't think. That one was just like so good. I don't think anything's gonna do better than Notting Hill, so I'm not gonna give this movie 5 out of 5 hearts, but I will give it 4 out of 5. It was really good, I enjoyed watching it. It was just kinda, it didn't seem realistic to me, so that just kinda threw me off a little bit. Alright, it is hot shot time, everybody. I apologize in advance because this one is a little bit similar to Four Weddings and a Funeral and Bridget Jones's Diary, but this is just like an iconic thing to use in rom-coms and in movies in general, just the zoom. We're gonna talk about the zoom again, but it is so good, and I really want to talk about this one because it's a lot more impactful in this movie specifically. I think there's a lot more meaning behind this shot in this movie specifically due to the fact that it's one of the only times we get to see the two of them being genuine with each other. This shot is at the very beginning of the movie before Andy starts going crazy for her magazine article, and this zoom in while they're talking at dinner just really says a lot about that initial connection that they felt after just meeting. I think having this zoom and this entire scene in general was really important to have in the film because it lets the audience see that they have really good chemistry together and that there's definitely a connection there, because it gets a lot harder to recognize that once Andy starts acting out for her article. It ties the ending together because it makes it seem a little less out of nowhere that they have legitimate feelings for one another later on and that they were feeling them since the beginning. Now that I'm thinking about it a little more, it's honestly really impressive that I got to experience that romance aspect in this movie, because there's only like 2 scenes where they're truly being romantic with each other. They were great scenes, might I add. Like, I really enjoyed watching this movie, like, just like Notting Hill, couldn't take my eyes off the screen, but that is so impressive because Andy, crazy. She's acting psycho during almost this entire movie, so kudos to the director for doing that because I still got that piece of romance and I got that satisfaction even though most of this movie has no romance in it and it's really just like, oh, how is this gonna play out? How are they gonna be like, how are they gonna win this bet? Like that kind of thing. So that was really impressive. Alright, I'm done blabbing now, that's all I had to say, but I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I know this is a really popular movie, so I'm really sorry I haven't seen it sooner, but I'm glad I finally watched it. I'm very excited for my friends to watch this because I hope they're gonna enjoy my 4 out of 5 rating. Sorry I didn't get 5 out of 5. As always, thank you so much for watching. My Instagram and my Twitter are linked below, and feel free to watch some of my older episodes. We're almost done with this series, so please watch everything that I've made so far. I've been working really hard on it. I've never done something like this before, so I hope this is good. Please give me any tips to make this better. I would really appreciate it. Next week is episode 7. This is going to be the last official rom-com I'm watching. We're watching Sleepless in Seattle. I promised you I would watch it. And then episode 8 is going to be a recap of everything I've watched and also all the rom-coms I've already seen before this series. And we're going to do a little top 10. It might not turn into a top 10 because there's too many. It might be a top 15. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I just can't narrow things down and I'm so indecisive. But either way, it's going to be a fun episode and I'll see you guys next week for Sleepless in Seattle. Thanks. Bye.